Yo, what up, what up, what up? Man, I'm here with General Chief. We're gonna motherfucking read this new Gray Mirror piece that came out today, right? And react to it. And I figured it'd be something that I think everybody would kind of enjoy. Ready, General?
Sam Altman's lamplighter. Sometimes Sam Altman, the new young Jupiter of AI, makes it easy to see why, to borrow the title of an essay I wrote 10 years ago, he's a blithering idiot. This is of interest not because Sam Altman is a blithering idiot. In fact, I hear he's done rather well for himself, but because this minuscule yet profoundly crippling logical lesion is so finely tuned, a lipid based thinking machine is probably not confined to Sam Altman's brain. No. Whatever the germ, could be Elon Musk's woke mind virus, that causes this lesion, it has infected others. It has infected everyone. It has infected me. I took my own nootropic tablets and was cured. Click here to buy. Christ, this is so fucking referential. Let me explain this simple fallacy using Altman's own words posted the other day. This is the end of his effusive essay on the intelligence age. Many of the jobs we do today would have looked like trifling wastes of time to a few hundred to a few people to people a few hundred years ago. But nobody is looking back at the past wishing they were a lamplighter. If a lamplighter could see the world today, he would think the prosperity all around him was unimaginable. And if we could fast forward 100 years from today, the prosperity all around us would feel just as unimaginable. This is what is this, like the non-profit charity or whatever the fuck that Sam Altman was like really interested in?
I mean, this is like Sam Altman. I don't know, wrote that. I don't know why the fuck. I don't know where it actually came from, but that's you know what I mean, or whatever. But he's gonna pick that shit apart, right? And he's gonna come out with some shit that you're really gonna enjoy in the next couple of statements.
What was it that Sam Altman wanted? He was like it was like
Sam Altman is the head of Chat GPT.
No, I know who Sam Altman was. Yeah, and he wasn't, but he was the head of the coin or whatever the fuck.
No. He's the head of
FTX.
Chat GPT. No, FTX is Sam Bankman-Fried.
Shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, Sam Altman. My bad.
You want to hear some crazy shit?
My bad.
Yo, Bankman-Fried and P Diddy sharing a cell right now.
Oh, that's based. Wait, I heard they actually were. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. It's 100% true.
P. Diddy and Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah.
Couple of cool guys just hanging out doing cool stuff.
I bet you Diddy's enjoying shit. You know, I heard being gay and going to prison's like fucking, you know what I mean, like a fucking a Disney adult going to fucking Disneyland. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Sam Altman, you're right. Head of ChatGPT. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Or OpenAI, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sam Altman is right. Sam Altman is right about these statements. Let us grant that he is exactly right. Every sentence is exactly correct. Yet he remains a blithering idiot because he will never be able to follow me and us if you are not afraid. Through the simple logic. If you are afraid, it's not too late to ingest the antidote. Hit the back button now. The problem with the intelligence age. Sam is right. No one is looking back at the past wishing they were a lamplighter, but I am looking straight at the present wishing other people were lamplighters. Now, you should be too. And if your philosophy of society was properly adjusted, you would be. Here is what you would be thinking. I'm pretty sure it is not what you think now. Other people today should be lamplighters. Don't know what a lamplighter is. Many
they're the people who walk through the street and lit lamps, right? You know what I mean?
Okay, that's fair. That's a good point. Yes. Many more people in the future should be lamplighters because of AI and other technologies, obviously. And this is not because they wish to be lamplighters. No, the state must make them lamplighters. Wow, I can't even. Wow, just wow. I must be such an evil person with such ideas. Do you hear that? It's the disease talking. The mind virus, or bacterium, fungus, prion, neoplasm. Let's keep the diagnosis open here. Wants you to think this. Snap out of it. Let's make two assertions to explain the evil thought. Consider. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is sounding like Christian horseshoe fucking bullshit at this point. Um, Let me make two assertions to explain this evil thought. Consider the set of human beings, Z, whom I wish were lamplighters, or pursuing some other artisanal craft. Lamplighting is kind of cool, but we can probably invent better neo-traditional trades. Assertion A. If people in Z were lamplighters, instead of what they are, their externalities, their external impact on people, not in Z, would be more positive. Assertion B. If people in Z were lamplighters, instead of what they are, their internalities, the quality of their own human experience would be more positive. We see clearly that if both A and B are true, my proposal is good for everyone. This is not my opinion. This is logic. The union of Z and non-Z is everyone. I understand that this guy is most likely being facetious. And if that is the case, I appreciate the rather bizarre humor.
Yeah, listen, like, right, you gotta love Yarvin. You know what I'm saying? Like, Yarvin's the shit.
Oh, is this from Yarvin? No
yeah,
shit.
it's from Yarvin, bro.
I didn't realize.
This is Yarvin, bro. Yarvin's the
shit. Okay.
So why, bro, you're gonna love. I'm telling you, like, I read this and I immediately thought of you.
Sam and all his GPUs can chew on this logic till the end of the time. It will still be true. Please don't hate the messenger. I hope this news won't change your life too much. Yarvin's a fucking cunt.
He is, but he's great. Yo, keep going, bro. You're gonna love this shit.
Hold on, wait. See, I started to try to read it as a serious thing, and then I got to the end. I was like, fuck this. Okay. Of course, the truth of A and B is dependent on the definition of Z. This definition is a complex question, but let's start with a simple one that others have already coined. By others, I mean, of course, the great libertarian economist Tyler Cohen, who defines zero marginal product, ZMG, human beings as individuals who find it hard to get a job at all because they are perceived as just not having that much to offer at any wage. There are many individuals who are obviously in ZMP. Consider my 2-year-old son. While he does seem very precocious, even flipping burgers would be far beyond him. But sadly, this is true of many biological adults as well. As Cohen notes, other people, you may not, even want them flipping burgers. They're just destructive. And my point is just the better we get at measuring value, which you will get with surveillance and software, and just plain flat out right measurement, the more we will discriminate against those people, and that is a social problem. Yes. No, that's just logic, bro. That's how that shit works.
I feel you, bro. Listen, I told you, like, listen, I read this and immediately thought of you, right? And I was like, bro, listen, like, this is a really good way of explaining. I've been talking, me and you have been talking about this for a while, right? You know what I mean? Where, like, eventually, like, fucking, they're gonna try and, like, phase humans the fuck out of the system as a whole. They're like, what the fucking humans do? You know what I mean? Right? And, like, you can't just give people free fucking money because, like, that causes, like, the people who are giving the money up to be, like, fucking really angry at the people who are getting the money.
It can't possibly work. Rather, rather counterintuitively, given that it can already ace the math Olympiad and shit. Deep learning is not yet good at flipping burgers, but it will be. And that, I'm afraid, Mr. Altman, is a social problem. Let's call our set Z, the set of adult, neurologically normal humans in ZMP. If you truly believe that Z is empty, I despair. The virus has just done too much damage. But wait, I have a trick. Let's consider a similar set. Let's consider the set of adult, biologically normal humans who are unemployable at OpenAI itself. After all, every time a company refuses to hire someone, it declares them ZMP from the perspective of its own employee pool. A true ZMP adult is unemployable in any firm or by any private individual. um
What up?
no, that was humorous. Sorry.
Listen, I love Yarvin, bro. Yarvin's a shit. Some people don't get Yarvin. They get really mad at the fact, like they like. I don't want any humor in my writing at all, right? I just want human. I want the writing to be just straight scientific all the time. I want to read Adam Smith and everything. Like fuck that shit, bro. Like let's have some fun. You know what I mean?
It is only through humor that true intelligence exists.
I agree.
Could there be continental human populations which are ZMP with respect to OpenAI? Sure. Google has an Australian office. How many full-blooded Aboriginal Australians work at Google Australia? Bueller? Ferris was supposed to be in class today. Maybe the dog ate his explanation. Clearly, all men are created equal. Citation needed. Not every workplace is Google or OpenAI, but every workplace has a ZMP threshold. Generally, that threshold is lower than Google's. What AI will do, what Sam Altman will do, is to vastly increase the ZM3 threshold in almost every workplace. I mean, that has to be true. Once AI finds its physical groove, hook a ChatGPT up to a robot so that it can have not a feedback from the internet, but a feedback from just pure reality with its cameras and its senses. And look what an LLM will do. It's going to be super fun. I can't wait.
It's gonna be based.
Oh, it's so based and zazed. Once AI finds its physical groove, AI-powered robots will take 10 or 20 years to eliminate all demand for menial human labor. The strawberry pickers will follow the lamplighters, the landscapers will follow the strawberry pickers, and the machinists will follow the landscapers. All skills for dealing with the physical world will vanish. In the end, 20th century employment as we know it will reduce itself to 10 engineers who write the code that writes the code that writes the code. They will all work for Sam Altman and drive ludicrously amazing flying cars. And what if everyone else? I am anything but an AI engineer. Good luck with those matrices, kids. We'll just have fun, right? Life will just be fun. No, actually, we will probably all have our throats cut. Here's why. This is a funny guy. I like his prose. Like this, it's humorous.
Yeah, I love the way he writes.
He's not trying to be a boring motherfucker. God, I appreciate that.
Right.
Wait, hold on. Let me take a couple puffs off my vape.
You want me to read some of this?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. Sam Altman has a plan for this work-free future. He calls it UBI. Yes, kids, we found the telos of the individual revolutions. Fully automated luxury communism. This is obviously good, and my evil state lamplighter plan is the polar opposite of UBI. First of all, the UBI scenario, if we accept it, has already proved assertion A. Once we say that UBI is the solution for all these ZMP people, we say that the non-ZMP set has to subsidize a ZMP set, which means that the ZMP set has negative externalities on non-ZMP set. So Z is bad for non-Z, QED, if a little easy. But you have an easy reply. Under fully automated luxury communism, production is so easy that no one needs money. The last 10 engineers aren't even paid. No one is paid. The robot factories take whatever they want. Make whatever you want. That's why it's called communism. Even the writers are robots. The future is all Cory Doctorow. Free stuff, free love, free speech. Everything is free as in beer. So all this UBI has no real cost to anyone. Communism. People love the brand, but they don't remember it. They don't remember trying it last century. Marxist-Leninism, which killed 100 million people, was, I believe, the political result of the 19th and 20th century destruction of labor demand at the hands of the industrial age. Whatever the casualty, the two sure happened at the same time. And that destruction of labor demand does not hold a candle to the upcoming rise of the ZMP threshold in Sam Altman's intelligence age, which if past perform and predict future results, will most certainly guillotine us all. Thank you, OpenAI. Like the industrial age, the intelligent age represents the final victory of capital over labor. Capital assumes its final form, Sam Altman's trillion-dollar planetary silicon brain form. Capital is the supply chain for the matrix multiplication. The only human jobs are jobs no robots can do. The last profession is the oldest profession. In Altman's Elysium, all the men are coders and all the women are sex workers. So East Bay. So what's wrong? So as capital renews its final result on labor, we're about to be hit by a wave of 21st century Marxism that makes the Russian Revolution look like a garden party. Strap in.
Aye.
Fucking beast.
Fully automated luxury Stalinism. While we've established the negative economic externalities of UBI in a possibly trivial sense, we are neglecting the political externalities of UBI. The Russians of Stalin's era enjoyed many luxuries that the Russians of Nikolai II's regime could only have dreamed of. Their GDP was surely far higher. Probably no one in Tsarist Russia had even thought of calculating GDP, whereas the Soviet economists, like our own, were into GDP. And their numbers look great! Stalinism was a success. The problem with communism isn't that it doesn't work economically. Well, that's a problem. It's not the problem. The problem is that communism doesn't work politically. Free labor from AI solves the economic problem. It exasperates the political problem. Fuck, that's true. That is fucking true. That is so fucking true.
See, this is the issue that you have, right? It's not an economics problem. It's a social and political problem.
AI is an economic problem, and both the Democrats and the Republicans are going to have to fight about this.
No. It's a political problem. It's not an economics problem, right? It literally eliminates economics. It's a social and political problem, right? Because what do you do with all the people who you're eliminating from AI?
No, like you just said, free labor from AI solves the economic problem. It exasperates the political problem, right?
Yeah. I mean, literally, it is a political problem.
No. Fuck. I agree with the entire sentiment. I think it's totally fucking correct. I only have a I guess a semantic disagreement here, which is the gayest type of disagreement.
Right.
But the economics have introduced the problem, right? We tried to have a vast economic landscape. We tried to maximize how big it could be, and it resulted in us staring into the abyss, and the abyss stared back, and now we have AI. So really, I think it is an economic problem. The problem came out of economics, And now we're going to spend probably the next, like, I don't know, century or two dealing with AI. It's super fun.
It's all fucked.
Oh, ultra fucked, my friend. Yes, it always has been. Um, uh, even if the robots make all the free stuff we need, someone controls the robots. Even once you don't have to work and get a free check to spend on whatever you want, someone has to sign the check. All legal action is human action. As Albert J. Nock, it's Albert. Albert J. Nock once wrote, there are two ways human beings feed themselves: by the economic means or the political means. The economic means is the production of goods and services needed by others. The political means is the capture of goods and services produced by others. In the age of AI and UBI, almost no one can feed themselves by the economic means because almost everyone is below the ZMP threshold. So everyone becomes political. Whoever signs your UBI check is inevitably your political patron. Whether this party is a person, a corporation, a church, a nonprofit, or a government agency, it can literally kill you by not signing a piece of paper or transform your life by adding a digit. You would be an idiot not to delegate all your power to it. And very few adults are idiots. Shit! Fuck! Dude, both you and me are idiots.
I mean, sorta.
Universal UBI means
He's like, I don't want to argue this.
universal UBI means the universal purchase of votes. It means, yep, no, GG, slash thread, bro, slash thread. That's it. He called it right there. That's it.
Yep.
GG. Universal income. A UBI means the universal purchase of votes. That's it. That's why we can't have it. GG slash thread.
What is it slash thread?
Slash thread means like it's a 4chan thing. It means that's the end of the thread. The problem has been solved. Like if someone asks like why is my dog gay, and then someone is like, here's the entire explanation as why your dog is gay. Slash thread, just it's done. He just slashed thread him. He just slashed threaded himself. GG.
Rock on. It means every human population, especially groups below the ZMP threshold, becomes what Indian political scientists call a vote bank. Any actual democracy becomes the property of some power structure. Here is a proposition: you'll never see falsified when dependent populations vote. They always support the same party as the officials of the institutions they depend on. An economic dependent cannot help but be a political dependent. The weak cannot be strong, but they can serve the strong. Under universal dependency, the idle poor becomes the political armies of the idle rich. Now, in this year's presidential race, the wealthiest woman in Silicon Valley has emerged as a powerful player behind the scenes. She has quietly contributed millions of dollars to an organization backing Ms. Harris, according to 3 people briefed on the gifts. She played a hidden but key role as helping usher Mr. Biden out of the race, which cleared the way for the Harris run. And Mrs. Powell's Jobs, who is close to the vice president, that her staff refers to simply as LPJ, as a position to have extraordinary influences or at least success in a potential Harris administration. Wouldn't it be nice, man? Listen, hold on, let me fucking wouldn't it be nice if our newspaper of record could tell us more about this hidden but key role? What is this? The most serene Republic of Venice? Could Miss Powell Jobs perhaps position her aging doge, which perfectly blown dose of blowgun venom to the urethra, The frog dust travels straight to the kidneys and hence the brain, causing progressive deterioration, a wobbling gait, and the confusion of dignitaries. The situation in which Bush the Doge, in which, and listen, which, what the fuck's
Both.
that word? Oh, both the Doge and his younger brother, uh, and comelier replacement are too embarrassing for public view. Is especially choice. Maybe we do need 4 more years. This is very late stage stuff. This is very late stage stuff, kids. You have to remember the thing when it was young. Sorry, I'm reading off your screen.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Leftism is always and everywhere an aristocratic force. Perhaps this is most clearly seen in the Labour Party UK, which from its roots in the Ruskinites and the Fabians has always, I don't know what the fuck those are, has been the political vehicle of the university left. Across the last century, this vehicle has switched its fuel from disappearing British worker to the burgeoning British immigrant without any substantive change in the nature of its leadership. This is an absolutely wild way to use the word democracy. An aristocracy out of power becomes a bureaucracy in power. H.G. Wells' open conspiracy becomes a mandatory global ideology. An oligarchic despotism, utterly unlike the classical monarchical tyranny of the 20th century Stalinism, yet strangely reminiscent of it in so many ways. The two even use the same word, progressive, and, in the lives of those now living, were a military alliance that conquered the world. How exactly has no one noticed this? Here is the massive negative externality of AI, the political impact of universal UBI. The future is a new wave of dangerously incompetent, arbitrarily cruel, distributed, bureaucratic despotism. Everywhere, voters who oppose the regime are missing their last chance to stop it, and they become permanently outvoted by welfare vote banks. UBI is a redistribution of wealth. And redistribution of wealth is not an economic idea. It is a political idea. We know its historical track record, and we know its body count, which makes Hitler look like a rookie. And like moths, we return to its red flame. Nerds. Follow nerds. What is up with us? Why do we keep doing this? There is a simple way to understand the economic and political impact of AI. The resource curse. Windfalls in oil, gold, etc., have demonstrated to economists that massive economic profits, which create little or no labor, have a paradoxical negative impact on economies. Venezuela, which has the most oil in South America, has the worst economy in South America. Resource dividends and technology dividends are the same thing. Wait, resource dividends and technology? Not sure if I agree with that.
All right, so think about it like this, right? If you can have, like 50 guys stick a fucking straw in the ground and like light up all of Venezuela, right? You know what I mean? Like fucking, that makes a problem for everybody who isn't employed in striking that straw in the ground, right? And it's the same thing for guys who, like the 15 guys who write an app or for fucking open AI, right? For a LLM or whatever the case is, right? What about everybody else who doesn't do that? Same shit.
Okay, let's say there's 8 strawberries underground.
Okay.
Now we have the potential resource of 8 strawberries. Now we can use a spoon to like dig up a strawberry at a time, which is not that efficient, or we can have a shovel to dig up all the strawberries at one time. But we still have the same number of strawberries no matter what, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure that that resources are necessarily the same thing as technology, right? Shovels are better than spoons, but it doesn't change how many strawberries we have at the end of the day. That's our resources.
I mean, like the problem is when you look at shit, right, and the economic impact of it is the same, right? That's the issue, right? So like, it's no difference if you are a country that makes, you know what I mean, fucking oil, right, or a country that makes, you know what I mean, like fucking AI resources, right, or like technological resources. Like the same amount of people are going to be employed, and everybody else is unemployed. Is the issue?
In I suppose in the current pattern that we find ourselves in, yeah, that's probably true. But that's not that's context dependent. That's subject to change, I would
There's
say. But
only
okay,
there's only one country that ever escaped the resource curse, right? And that was like the
that's
Netherlands.
Israel.
The
Israel,
Netherlands. The Netherlands.
obviously.
No,
No,
the Netherlands.
that would be more Norway, honestly.
Okay, yeah. Let me either, bro. Listen, you know what I mean? Like one of them fucking northern countries, right? Where like,
It
but
is
what they
Norway, by
do
the way.
is,
It is objectively
yeah,
Norway.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And I'll agree with you. I don't really, you know what I mean? I'm not 100%. Right, but like the reason why is because like they don't actually like draw like the fucking oil out of the ground at like a large rate. You know what I mean? Right. What they do is they draw the oil out of the ground at a little bit at a time. Right. Whereas if like they just fucking stuck a hole in the ground and went drill, baby, drill. Right. They, you know what I mean, like fucking have their entire economy based off of this, and everything would serve this. Right. And then like, you know, it would all just be downstream from that shit, and it would all be dependent on the price of that internationally.
You know, the last thing that I would ever want to do is be racist, right? But I do want to point this out. Norway has like one of the largest oil reserves and the largest I think uh what is it? Potassium? What comes out of bat guano?
Potash.
Potash. Yeah, what does potash produce? Is it phosphorus?
Okay.
Uh Norway has one of the largest oil reserves and the largest phosphorus reserve that exists currently, and they're not burning through it, buying Cadillacs and shit. They're managing it actually quite intelligently. They're like, yeah, no, we should keep this for our kids and shit. Like, basically, we're set up for the next like 500 years, and we're good. Um, and that's what they're doing, and they're not trying to fuck with it. And the people in Norway are like, yeah, it makes sense that we shouldn't like exploit that to buy a whole bunch of Cadillacs. Like, yeah, we should probably just hold it for the future. And of course, the Norwegians would do that because, well, the Norwegians are those who have to plan for winter, and they're good at long-term strategic thinking. I mean, of course,
All right.
that's how it
So
works.
here's all right. Okay, all right. So here's okay. Um, what is the resource curse? The term resource curse refers to a paradoxical situation in which a country underperforms economically despite being home to a valuable natural resource. A resource curse is generally caused by too much of the country's capital and labor force concentrated in a few resource-dependent industries. By failing to make adequate investment in other sectors, countries can become vulnerable to declines in commodity prices, leading to long-run economic underperformance. All right, so like the problem is in places like Saudi Arabia, right, where you have like these
A bunch of like 97 IQ, individuals. Yeah,
well,
100%.
it's
Yeah,
not. It's
yeah,
not
it's
just
an issue.
that. It's not just that, right? So, like, in order to form, like, in Saudi Arabia, where like it's all just like desert, what else are you gonna do? You know what I mean?
You have
Venezuela.
to
In
you have
Venezuela,
to
it's all
spend
just jungle.
oil. Yeah, Saudi Arabia has to spend oil in order to have food and water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Because like there's nothing there, right? The same with Venezuela. Venezuela's the same shit, right? Where like Venezuela, like fucking like it's just a jungle.
Yeah, okay, I suppose. All right, so we can agree to disagree on this one. So,
Whereas Norway, on the other hand, you know what I'm saying? Like
is
Norway,
filled with people that can think long term.
Well, it's not just that, but they also, like have a country that, is economically viable by itself. Like it has its own food supplies. You know what I'm saying? It has like decent land for agriculture, all that type of shit.
And why is it that Norway has been like Norway didn't even know that it had the world's biggest phosphorus supply until recently, like a couple of years ago. And then when they discovered it, they didn't chimp out. They were like, "Yep, we're good. We're just gonna hold on to it." They didn't chimp out. Like,
Well,
why is
yeah,
it
it's
that?
like it's like the
How
U.S.
come?
Like the U.S.
How
literally
come?
discovered oil, right? We discovered oil and internal combustion engine, all that type of shit, right?
How come it be that the Norwegians didn't chimp out when they realized that they were wealthy as fuck, and yet like all the other nations did chimp out when they were like, "Yo, I'm wealthy. Let's get some fucking, Mercedes Benz in this shit. Fuck
Well,
yeah, Mercedes Benz for everybody. Let's
well
go."
why was Saudi Arabia invented? Like, why does the country exist? Why does the state of Saudi Arabia exist?
Because of oil.
Yeah, like, it's literally why the country became any type of important that was like allowed to be able to continue to exist.
Well, it's the same thing with Qatar, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like all those fucking, nations. Okay. Anyway, to continue the article,
Okay, go ahead.
resource dividends and technology dividends are the same thing. Excess dividends create gross economic gain and net economic loss. They create net economic loss because they create political damage, which creates economic damage. They create political damage by transferring human beings from the economic to the political means by making them resource capturers, not resource producers. Technology may be able to support a society of resource captures, but political science is not. AI will turn the whole world into Venezuela. AI will turn Palo Alto into Venezuela. Laugh while you can, Monkey Boy. The train from Aragua is coming to you. Sam Altman, richer than Batman's dad, will sleep till mast. Tattooed faces wake him. Fuck, this is a long article. Do you want to keep going through this?
Yeah, man. I ain't got shit else to do. If you have there's something else you want to
No, there's not. I can stick it here.
do. The windmill economy. If this grim glance at the crystal ball wasn't bad enough, it gets worse. Assertion B claims that the elimination of labor is bad for the laborers themselves, despite their inherent wish to not labor, whether it's lamplighters or JavaScript programmers. Economists define labor as a form of disutility done to create offsetting utility except for the last 10 engineers, all mental labor is done by AI and all physical labor is done by robots. The rest will just have fun. Here's one trick to see the future. From the standpoint of the domestic American economy, the difference between our outsourcing to robots and outsourcing to China is negligible. China's impact is a preview of AI's impact. The technology that produces the highest margin return to GDP, that is, produces the maximum amount of fun as defined by market price, is well known. Like many of China's wins, it's material science, atoms, not bits. Chemistry, to be exact, it has the highest fun to weight ratio ever recorded. 10 micrograms will keep you happy for hours. This material is literally an elephant tranquilizer called carfentanil or windmill. Just don't give your elephant more than 10 milligrams, especially if he's been drinking. China also exports more indirect ways of having fun. For instance, these days they make the best, cheapest electric cars. Electric cars is not as fun as windmill, especially by weight. But how else will you sustainably get to your dealer? Why? The question answers itself. The windmill will deliver itself, and the self-driving electric car coming to you. The three-way marriage of sustainability, chemistry, and artificial intelligence. I believe that any theory which says the best economy is the windmill economy is wrong. Self-driving windmill from China, a remarkable rhyme with the opium worms, is not a curious corner case, but a reductio elis absurdum, which shows the absurdity of the whole theory, that is, the libertarian utility GDP economist as a whole. Since no other economics is known in our society, we will find ourselves in rather epistemic pickle. Sad. I said that everything in Sam Altman's quote is true. It is true in the sense that he meant it, but there is one very important problem in emphasis. Our prosperity would not, in fact, impress our ancestors from 100 years ago if they could see our country. From our bustling cities to our busy small towns to our charming little villages, they would not find it to be prospering. Their eyes would see desolation and misery they could have never imagined. From tent encampments to Oakland to fentanyl shacks in Ohio, in every home, shack, or tent a PlayStation. And I haven't even mentioned the porn. Consider our porn GDP in constant dollars and by estimating the net price of all 1924 and 2024 market, or vice versa. Such prosperity. I bet Noah Smith has already thought about this hard. The problem is simple: it's the confusion of two words, prosperity and luxury. Our ancestors who like read the Bible and stuff did not have this brain damage. They would see that while we are riddled with luxury, we have very little prosperity. Electric cars are a luxury. Porn is a luxury. Fentanyl is a luxury. 3 solutions. What is the difference between luxury and prosperity? At the lowest level, Maslow's pyramid of needs, they are the same. Both luxury and prosperity start with air, proceed to water, then food, and safety. 40% of Americans are afraid to walk alone at night where they live, and they might be if they weren't more worried about the long-term changes in temperatures of the planet. Here, luxury and prosperity diverge. Prosperity is what's good for you. Luxury is what feels good to you. Luxury serves your present self. Prosperity serves your future self. The greater the productivity you can command, the further apart these targets are. A rock star can choose to live like an LA rock star or like a Hawaii surfboard shaper. One of England's most successful and aristocratic actors, Daniel Day-Lewis, spent 2 years learning to make shoes in Italy. There are other shoemakers in Italy, but not many can win an Oscar. This is true for science, for societies, for countries, as well as their productivity increases, their gap between luxury and prosperity increases. When the government uses GDP as its economic metric, it's managing the economy for luxury, not for prosperity. How can we shift this frame? In 3 ways: the reactionary way, the liberal way, and the neo-reactionary way. The reactionary way to note that the state is the God's vicar on earth, and the roles to do unto his subject as God would do to each. A liberal will complain that he has no idea what this means because no idea what God means. The reactionary is like, yes, actually you do. The formula worked perfectly for many years, and there was no real need to abandon it. But that does not mean we can revive it. The liberal way is to define prosperity as human flourishing, and to ask what it takes to make every human under the state umbrella flourish. The answer is sometimes more stuff and more fun, but not usually. Generally, for human beings to flourish, they must be challenged to the best of their abilities, otherwise their potential remains unfulfilled. Therefore, the problem of managing the economy from the perspective of the state is the problem of making sure that the economy demands that everyone maximize their human potential through challenge. That is through meaningful work that makes them grow as human beings. For many people, this work is menial labor, and for a few, it's advanced physics. But the sweet spot for an enormous number of people is artisanal labor. For instance, making shoes is artisanal labor. Since the Industrial Revolution long ago destroyed the market for artisanal production, it's no loss to see the industrial production land. And its Dickinson human robots pulling levers all day, destroyed by fully automated factories. The same is true of the bullshit office email jobs that Altman calls trifling waste of time. Presumably, except in the rapidly burgeoning compliance department, there's no trifling waste of time at OpenAI. Therefore, it is part of the government's job to shape labor markets, so there is a rough correlation between labor demand and labor supply, with professions where everyone is challenged according to human capacity and the era with productivity to burn. The state should burn productivity to shape labor demand. Curating a system of professional trades, a traditional role of state for centuries going back to the medieval guild system, will often mean burning productivity. It is adding artificial difficulty. The good news for Sam Altman is that AI and new technology in general is not in general the right target for artificial difficulty. The right target is old technology to restore the first wave of professions destroyed by the Industrial Revolution. The old artisanal professions. It's not clear if lamplighting is a particularly skilled job. It might be more of a Down syndrome thing, frankly, like bagging groceries. But isn't shoemaking yet. But if it isn't, shoemaking is. When we think about neo-Luddism, right? Where are we at?
You're right. Top paragraph.
Okay. When we think about neo-Luddism, we shouldn't think about banning AI. We should think about a world where if America wants to buy clothes, he or she will have to buy clothes made by hand in America, natural American materials. Everything is old. Etsy, Petstock, 10 or 20 million challenging artisanal jobs. Firstly, there is a neo-reactionary way to think about artificial difficulty, which is too spurgy for anyone but Sam Altman to understand, but should seem natural to any corporate madman. This is the human capital standpoint. For a neo-reactionary, a government is a sovereign corporation whose capital is land and its people plus holdings and machineries. This analysis nearly distinguishes between luxury and prosperity. Luxury does not make a human being valuable, rather the opposite, alas, whereas prosperity does. In fact, whatever we mean by the value of a human being, it is corroded by idleness and luxury and enhanced by practice, training, and discipline. As the Victorians knew well, but we persist in forgetting, a lamplighter is a more valuable human being than a welfare recipient. Lamplighting may not be useful in and of itself, but the lamplighter can be reassigned to many tasks involving diligence and care. He is better for the world, and he is better for himself, but he has less free time to inject an elephant tranquilizer. Which way, modern man? There is a tiny problem with this metric. It is hard to measure. We can measure GDP, but not human capital. Well, actually, we can measure human capital. We just haven't wanted to, not for the last 160 years or so. Slavery is bad, okay, but suppose there was a lottery in which one of 10,000 people lost and had to be randomly sold. Proceeds going to charity, of course. Just as an economic design, no. To George Mason. I think that's it.
That is it.
How was that much longer?
Well, okay. You know what? Yeah, it wasn't that much longer. But
Well, what do you think?
I think that I think the most significant point there was that what was it? Let me go up to it. I UBI means the universal purchase of votes. I think that I I think that is the most significant aspect of that article because I mean maybe I'm fucking retarded. I don't know. But UBI does mean the universal purchase of votes because if everyone is dependent on the UBI and everyone needs the UBI, then everyone needs the government to provide more and more UBI. And any politician that tells you that they're going to give you more UBI will get voted for because we all love more UBI. That it can't work, right? Like if we like a UBI on an actual national level will fall apart. It has to. It is necessary that it falls apart. If it didn't fall apart, I'll tell you what, like straight up, if a government did a UBI and they did it honestly, and it was just like, yeah, everyone gets money, and they did it in a democratic fashion, and I would be surprised if that did not eventually fall apart because everyone started asking for more and more UBI. Like there, he slash threaded there. Like the rest of it, I think was, I mean, just icing on the cake.
I mean, here's the thing, right? You can't. There's a couple giant problems with UBI. Like number one, you can't have immigration with UBI.
Impossible. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, because like eventually, like you dilute the motherfucking money supply so much that like fucking you turn into Zimbabwe, right? I mean that's a fucking issue. Number one. Number two, like fucking.
Oh, hold on. There were trillionaires in Zimbabwe, so
I mean, I feel like most people were trillionaires in Zimbabwe.
that's pretty good.
I feel you, right? Like once everybody's a billionaire, then like all problems are solved. Or no, that's not how that worked. I don't think.
I don't know. You're a pessimist. I think if we can make everybody a trillionaire, everything will be fine.
Yeah, and I feel you. Like you'd eventually just chase the money up the motherfucking ladder to the point where like nobody, ends up being thing. And I get like that. Like you have like demand for the currency because like everybody needs to buy things, right? So the currency is inherently worthwhile, or like it inherently has value. But on the same level, like it doesn't. You know what I mean? Right? Because like you always need more of it, just all the time. it doesn't work. I think the most important part of this is like the labor part of this, where like he starts talking about like fucking like the artisanal shit and all that type of stuff. Where it's like, listen, if you're gonna have robots making everything, like you're gonna have something for human beings to fucking do. Right?
What is the
This is why I root for the farming thing, right? I'm like, maybe you should grow your own food.
okay? So Pnoid, you and I both agree that uh, that a dollar fundamentally, when you really break it down, is a representation of at least at this point labor value, right?
I mean, maybe. Is it at this point?
Doctors make more money than strawberry pickers because a doctor's labor is worth more than a strawberry picker's labor. But at the end of the day, it's a token of labor value. It's human labor value. That's what it is, right?
I mean,
Unless you have a better definition, I'm open.
I mean, yeah. Like I'm thinking. You know what I mean? Like I feel like a dollar is a representation of productive value, right?
And what is productive? It's labor value.
I mean, that's a Marxian fucking way of putting it, right? I mean, labor value. Fucking...
No. It's not. It's not. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to peg value to dollar. I'm trying to peg dollar to value. It's actually the inverse of Marxian. Um, uh, a the
Like, cause you're talking about the labor, like the labor value of goods, right? That's the Marxian view of how, like, the economy works is the labor value of goods, right? And so, like, when you talk about like a dollar is a representation of labor value, then it's like what good can you buy with what dollar based on the labor that you had from that dollar, right? I mean, the modern day way that dollars are created and the way that dollars end up being like, because 52% of all of our like economy is government spending.
based.
Yeah, and the vast majority of that is debt. So I feel like a dollar is nothing more than like debt value at this point.
I think that a dollar used to be okay. Obviously, like a dollar used to be built based off of gold,
Yeah.
and then I think that eventually we made it into a theoretical value of labor. It's like, yeah, a dollar represents like either someone selling you a hot dog or someone fixing your back. It's some quantity about labor. And at this point, it's just how many dollar printers go burr. So like, yeah, it's become completely insane at this point. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even really peg it to labor at this point, right? Because like
we used to be able to.
yeah, I feel you. We used to be able to peg it to production too. You know what I mean? But like that's fucking nonsense as well.
The fuck does the dollar even mean at this point?
It's
Jesus Christ.
again, it's government debt.
It's shit. It is probably based a lot around government debt.
Yeah, I mean that's why it's a Federal Reserve note, right? And I mean it's a note, right, which is basically a fucking IOU.
If the government ends up ever being bad at paying its debt, the value of the US dollar will plummet immediately, and that's really bad. So the government has to keep paying its debt. But isn't it the case that like 30% of like tax income goes towards just paying off the interest of the debt that we have? Isn't it like some crazy shit like that?
Hey, I mean I can tell you, hang on, USA.
Because you were the one that showed me this fucking little fun number thing.
USA. Oh, spending. Let's say, I guess it. this fucking website again. Government spending. There it is. USgovernmentspending.com. Gotta find charts.
You showed it to me one time, and I was like, what the fuck?
No, I feel you. Budget charts. Look at, I just gotta find this. Charts, bar charts, pie charts, numbers. All right, there we go. Total spending overview. Here it is. Okay. This is a joke. Jesus Christ, these fucking numbers. Fuck. Interesting.
Do you want to?
Hang on, wait. All right, hang on, wait.
You want to paste in side chat?
I'll share it in my fucking. I'll share it in my fucking thing. Wait a minute. Share my screen. This. You see it?
I see my screen. Wait. Okay, hold on. Let me cancel my sharing screen.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Total government spending. Government pensions, 1.9 trillion. Why we don't need those.
Oh, here we go.
Wait, go back. That was more informative.
No, this is more informative.
Pensions, healthcare, education, defense, welfare, protection, transportation, federal government, other spending. What the fuck is other spending?
Interest.
Is that where the interest comes in? It's just other
800
spending.
890 billion. This
800
is trillions.
890 billion.
Yeah.
Per year, just in interest spending.
Yes. Total spending's 10.5 trillion.
Could we fucking not? Dude, could we fucking not? Could we not for a second?
Gross public debt, 38 trillion.
Where's most of the debt is being bought up by people who are buying government bonds, right? Is that not the case? Am I incorrect about how this whole fucking thing works?
I mean, yes. Yeah. All the debt is government bonds.
Which can be purchased by
anybody.
Citizens and non-citizens alike.
It's usually held by banks.
Yeah.
Right, which backs up like your pension funds and shit. You know what I mean? Like your 401ks, all that type of stuff.
But we know that certain fancy banks are able to just print money.
Yeah, so like, all right, pensions, healthcare, education, right? So like, this is what a lot of people don't understand. Like, you think like defense is a lot, you know what I mean? Right. When the truth is, like, when you look at the numbers on the side in red, right? That's a total spending for like state, local, and federal, right? Like defense is 1.3 trillion. Like we spend fucking 1.5 trillion on education, right? Look at that healthcare fucking number, dude.
I have the fairest way to tax people. Right now, right here, I have the fairest way to tax people.
Okay.
You eliminate taxes.
You just put in the sales tax.
No taxes, no sales tax, no nothing.
Then how do you fund this?
The government prints money. When the government prints money, your dollars become lesser. It's a tax on everybody. As long as the government continues to print money, it will continue to tax you. And that's it. That's the whole game. It's a completely fair way of taxing everybody all around forever. The rich will be hurt equally as the poor.
That's not true. The rich have
Food.
assets. No, the rich have assets, and the assets gains value, right? As like the valuing of the currency, right?
Shh, nah, don't talk about that.
That's what we're doing right now. Why everything's fucked up.
Yeah, the rich people would be smart enough to just invest in gold or some dividend yielding stock. Yeah.
Like, look, yo, listen. So, like, the federal deficit's 35 trillion, but like the total deficit's 38 trillion, right? Like the total debt, like all debt, is $38 trillion, right? Like, and by the way, our entire GDP is like 21 trillion.
Who is holding all of this debt? That's a lot of debt to hold. Is it just
banks and shit?
Just banks and shit.
Yeah, for the most part. Like the largest like country is like Japan. I think holds like 1.1 trillion. Like everybody kind of holds a little bit of our debt. You know what I mean? Because like that way they have the ability to like borrow against it. They use it for loan purposes.
Did you know? Did you know that if it ever got really spooky to hold government bonds, if it ever became, like, oh, I don't want to hold this anymore. I'm not sure if it's going to be a AAA rated investment. If everybody cashed those bonds in at once, the American government wouldn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I know.
How is there a way that we could convince everyone to cash in their government bonds all at once?
I mean, no.
Yes, there is.
No. All right, I'm gonna tell you why. Right. So, like, okay. Do you know how paychecks work?
But there wouldn't be a government anymore if we convinced everyone.
Do you know how paychecks work?
Kind of, vaguely.
All right, so when you get paid, that money doesn't exist, right? Like, basically, you know what I mean? Like, fucking the people who give you your paychecks are actually giving a loan to your company. Right?
That's why, you know what? That's why I don't have to do taxes. They take it out on my W-2. I completely ignore tax day, and the government doesn't have an issue with me. Fuck yeah.
Right. Yeah, but like, so what happens is that like you're taking out a loan, right? Like you're giving money that doesn't exist yet. But all these companies that do that, just like insurance companies, all these people, they have to hold a whole bunch of debt in order to back up their other assets, which are holding on like fucking borrowed money. They borrow against the government debt in order to give out loans because they can borrow against the government debt 10-1.
Are you saying that interest firms are a capacitor? I think that's true. I agree with that. They're a capacitor.
What's a capacitor?
A capacitor is just anything in an electronic system that can hold a lot of electronic energy.
I mean, explain how they're a capacitor, right? I mean, like, because like there's a difference between a battery and a capacitor. The capacitor expounds a lot of like fucking electricity at one time, like a lot of power at one.
Exactly. That's what an insurance firm has to be able to slowly build up a charge, and then once a hurricane happens, oh boy, they have to put out a whole bunch of money to a whole bunch of people, and then they slowly
insurance firms are more like batteries.
No, insurance firms are more like capacitors. They have to expend all of their money.
No, they don't expend all of their money. They want to expend like just a certain amount of their money. Right. That's why.
Well, not all of their money, obviously, but like they need to be able to expend a lot of their money very quickly. That's what insurance companies are.
I mean,
an insurance company necessarily has to be very liquid because if a hurricane comes around, they have to be able to give $100,000 to like 1 million people or whatever the fuck.
No, they won't pay.
Well, true. That's the modern day insurance.
Right, they don't pay. Right. So like what they do is that, I mean, they're
Thank
like,
God everyone's paying for insurance. That's a really smart measure.
yeah, like they stand here and like they're like batteries in the system. Right? They're like an emergency battery backup. Right? That's what an insurance company is. It's like an emergency battery backup.
Yeah, like a capacitor.
No,
I know.
a capacitor is there for when you start, right? So like, fucking like for instance in like an air conditioning system, like instead of like drawing off all the like the energy needed to like fucking start that fucking giant ass compressor in your air conditioner that I mean has to like immediately spin up and like requires massive amounts of amperage, right? Like fucking the capacitor expends itself, right at the start of the motherfucking the
That's
beginning,
what
right?
an insurance company does when a hurricane happens. It has to spin it up all real quick. It's a capacitor. It has to
Well,
relinquish
it's
the.
not. It's not quick.
It's
It's
dude.
it's
It
it's not quick. It's like
okay.
again,
Well,
it's a
theoretically,
backup.
theoretically, it would be quick. I understand that we live in clown world, but theoretically, it would
We
be
do.
quick.
I mean, because listen, I've never seen them be quick, right? And I
They're
live in a
not.
place like, and that's one of the things about like you're talking about like you moving up to my neck of the woods. Like there's a river that floods, right? I mean, like once every 10 years or so, right? And you like you go and you stay at a hotel and then you bill the insurance company. And the insurance company, I mean, like fucking they might have like a policy that agrees that they'll pay for like a hotel for a certain period of time, but like they're not going to pay for it for a while. You know what I mean? Like fucking they'll end up getting billed from like a hotel and then they'll pay that bill like 90 days from now. Shit. And then like you get the money like to rebuild your house. And I mean like years and years and years later.
What's the point in giving an insurance company money every month if they're just gonna
Because the
fuck you
government
down the
says you're
line?
not allowed to have a loan unless you have insurance.
That's gay.
Yeah, I feel you. Right. I mean, like, it's just like, you're not allowed to drive your car without car insurance.
By the way, that's also fucking gay.
Listen, I agree with you. Right. Like, literally, like, fucking, um, like, like there was somebody who literally just got in an accident in my fucking car. Right. And the insurance company, I was like, you're going to pay for my fucking car? And they're like, oh, you don't have collision on it. And I'm like, what? Like, the fuck you mean you're not going to pay for my fucking car? I mean, it's my spare car, right? So like, I'm okay, I mean, all that type of shit. And, like nobody got hurt or anything like that, but like, literally, like fucking, somebody like sideswiped my shit and like fucking. Now I had to take care of it myself because my insurance company's bitch made.
I realized something, man.
What up?
You're not neither of us are ANCAPs, right?
No.
If man is not an individual, then man is a tissue.
Like a cell in a tissue.
Yeah, like a tissue, like a skin tissue or a
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
blood tissue or
yeah,
whatever the fuck. We're a tissue.
yeah.
If we're not individuals, that's what we are.
Okay.
So that's weird. That's weird. We're a tissue.
Okay.
I mean, that's fucking bizarre. Is like we're a tissue. Like, oh, okay. Like, fuck. Like if the end caps are not correct, and they almost certainly are not correct, then the only way out of this mess that we find ourselves in is through, which means that we basically kind of have to make our nation states uh an animal. Like it cannot be composed by a whole bunch of individuals. It has to be just an an organ,
Yeah.
basically an organ of mankind. That's what our different nation states have to be. They have to be independent, working on their own. There's
Yeah.
But you have to sacrifice. I mean, you have to. Like, literally, there's no way around this. I don't want this to be the case, but it seems as though it is necessary to sacrifice individuality. The system this the system demands that you sacrifice your individuality. Fuck.
Yeah, you can't have a community and then have like mass amounts of
Nature God wants you to sacrifice your individuality. Fuck. I don't want to sacrifice my individuality, bro. I actually prefer my individuality. For the most part, I fucking I hate other people. I don't want to sacrifice my individuality worth shit. Fuck you. And yet, nature God seems to be demanding it. And the more that I hold off, the more that I'm just going against nature God. Fuck. It's not a thing that I like. I don't like that at all.
I mean, you can't be a rabid individual. I mean, the problem is that like we were raised in a society in a way that we were told that we were all like massive amounts of individuals, and like we've tried, and like here's the thing, like we've both tried to like not be individuals and like be a part of something bigger than ourselves. You know what I mean? And be like attached to other humans, but we find ourselves in a really, like dark place when we do this shit because, not only are we raised this way, but everybody else around us is raised this way. And it ends up being like not good for us when we try to, like be regular humans and just be attached to other human beings. Right. And it sucks, but it's part of life, right now and how we live. Like, we don't like, how like I say, like fucking like listen, I understand that, I'm not living a life that's conducive to, like being a good human, right? Like I understand this fact.
I would never mistake you for being a good human.
Yes, right. Like, like I'm not being, like good, right? But like and I tell people like I shouldn't like exist in the way that I do today. You know what I mean? Because I shouldn't. I shouldn't be the person that I shouldn't be able to like live the way that I live. Like in any like rational like fucking society, I wouldn't be able to be the human I am. But we don't live in a rational society. We live in like a really fucking terrible one that has way too much luxury.
I Wow, that was that was that was strange, man. That was a
What?
strange thing to hear.
Why?
I swear to God, I thought that I heard some humility in your voice just then. That
Oh
was
yeah,
weird.
yeah. Listen, yeah, yeah, 100%. Like you understand that, like like I know, like who I am and like what this is, and I feel bad about the fact that I'm not the man that I want to be, right? But this is how we live. You know, I I can't change it, so I just do what I have to. I don't want this to be the case. I'd much rather have a happy family and be the person that I started off as. But this shit's beat the shit out of me. Like
You and I are both in agreement that the extended family household is probably the best thing, and you nor I have done anything to support that.
I tried. No, I tried. right? But
You may have tried, but you have done nothing.
no, I've tried.
You tried, but you have done nothing.
Let me put this way, right? I was talking to this broad or whatever, right? And like this dude immediately like motherfucking like just picked her up like a motherfucking like a fucking suitcase and just carried her baggage, right? And went ham for her. And I didn't realize how strange it is that like I didn't want to do that until recently, right? Because like it had been pushed out of my brain. You know how like when me and you we discussed one time how somebody said like, oh man, listen, if YouTube was fair, like you'd be way better off. And my brain went, what do you mean if YouTube was fair? Like I had pushed that out of the idea of them being fair out of my head. You know what I'm saying? Like I had pushed the thought of like being the man I'm supposed to be out of my head. Because like it just wasn't possible anymore.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Right?
I get that. Yeah.
Listen, man, like I'm humble. I have a lot of humility to me. I understand like my failures, right? But like part of it's me, part of it's age, part of it's just society sucks. A lot of it is society sucks. Like could you imagine going from in the 2000s making 70, 80,000 a fucking year, right? To
working 40, at Starbucks,
like 40 grand a year now in today's money. It's like literally I lost like 3/4 of my income over the years, right? And it's not because I didn't step my game up, right? Because my game is still on point. But it's just, we brought in so many immigrants and pushed this shit to the fucking limit that it makes it extremely difficult to just do the basic shit anymore.
Fun fact, proportionally speaking, we actually brought more immigrants into the science sector than we brought them into even the labor sector. We went really hard on making sure that Americans could never, ever, ever work in science, although that's what I wanted to do. That's really fun.
Well, here's the real bitch about it, right? The real motherfucker about all this shit is that, you're never going to be rewarded for doing the things that, you were told to
do. The black women will.
No, not even them. I mean, like, they'll be able to live in the hood the rest of their lives. You know what I mean? And be able to get their hair and nails done.
Swanky apartments, bro. Black women are actually moving up in the world. They're very, very, very important. They cross a number of ticks off the ESGI, whatever the fuck, DEI handbook. Dude, I've been witnessing this. They're so important for the economy, apparently.
Well, yeah. Remember how, like I told you, like black people have done everything that, like our society has asked them.
And now they're getting their fucking vacation. Good for them. On the backs of everyone else that had to grow up in this. Hell yeah.
I mean, like, black dudes are still fucked.
Well, I mean, the women are the most important. Come on, man.
Yeah, but black dudes are still fucked.
God, we do actually just live under a matriarchal society.
Well, like, I tell people, they're like, why the fuck did we just, like fucking give like black women like all this fucking money and shit? I was like, because like we're willing to support women, we won't support a man. We'll never take care of the dudes who like are actually the people who make our society run.
Actually, I don't think that dudes need taken care of. I really don't. Maybe some of them do. 100%. 100%.
I
Maybe
mean,
some of
if you're
them
going
do.
to ship their jobs to China, you should probably, help them the fuck out.
No. Look. I don't think that dudes have ever needed taken care of. Maybe some of them do. Sometimes I've cuddled with my teddy bear or wanted my mommy and that kind of shit. I think that what dudes really need is if we could just stop being fucked with for a second. I think things would be okay. Like dudes, like if the just absolute fucking if the absolute economic butt plug wasn't being rammed up our ass all the time, I think that we would be all right. I think that we could recover. Men are very good at recovering from whatever the fuck situation. We cannot constantly be put down constantly. It can't be like a daily thing of fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're worthless, fuck you. Like you need some time to recover, from that nonsense, right? But apparently, the fucking everything. It just fuck you, men. Fuck you, men. We're going to exploit you. I
I mean, I don't even mind like being exploited as long as like I'm paid, right? As long as I get like my authority with my family and all the things that I need to have, right? Like my problem comes down to like I don't want to live in a world where not only are you doing everything you can to make me expendable, but you're also like fucking trying to like destroy everything that I hold dear. That's a motherfucker about it, right? You're displacing me out of my family, taking away my authority, doing everything that is possible for you to like.
It's too many things. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's too many
too
fucking
much, bro.
things. There is. I swear to God, it's too much. Men are very capable. We can handle one or two problems. But we cannot handle a governmental force that is making the entire ecosystem work against us. That's how you make someone go extinct.
Well, here's
Why do they want us to go extinct? I have no idea.
because they fucking hate us. But
Why do they hate us?
I mean, because like we're too expensive.
We're the only ones that make the planes fly. This is fucking retarded. Why do they wait? Why? Better question. Way better question.
What up?
Why the fuck do they have the power to eliminate us? Who gave them this power?
We did.
Who the fuck decide? Okay, look, it's one thing to say, yes, women can vote now. Who the fuck decided that women should be like HR managers? We literally have HR managers. We have women deciding who should work for the Boeing Corporation, and it's mostly based off of vibes as opposed to, actual engineering ability. I personally, if I was working at Boeing, I would much prefer the most fucking socially awkward engineer rather than an HR approved go lucky lad. Like what? Why is it that women have they should not have this power? This is far too much power for them to wield, and they don't know how to wield it, and they're fucking retarded. We have given a fucking magic wand to a 2-year-old. Who the fuck decided this?
They don't know they're in charge.
But they are. And we've given a magic wand to a 2-year-old. Who the fuck gave them the magic wand?
Yeah, listen, I was talking to a dude earlier today, right? Like before you you got on, right? Like earlier when we were speaking on the way up, right?
Yeah.
I was talking to a dude, and he said that everybody should be technically trained and certified for everything that they do.
No,
because that's the only way that you can be responsible in the system.
That is the most female way of thinking of all the things of all the time. You don't train yourself on shit. You only learn if a bad thing happens. If a bad thing happens, now you know how to do that shit. You don't fucking train yourself with a manual. You don't follow the fucking SOPs. If a bad thing happens, you'll fucking learn how to fix it yourself.
There's too many of us, right? To like fucking, like not have everything be an SOP. That's why I want this bitch to be smaller. Because you can't have a country this big. Like, listen, I was looking at this chart, right, that I have up on the screen right now. Almost all the numbers on the right side are bigger than the GDP of most fucking countries. And those are single things that we fucking spend money on.
Dude, this. Oh my god, dude.
Think about it like this, right? So, like, just on pensions alone, we spend more money federally, right, than Russia's entire GDP, and we're worried about them as being as like an enemy of our state.
We are worried about them being an enemy of our state because women have taken over and they're fucking afraid of everything. Like literally. Okay, wait, check this out. Okay, I want to say this, right? It is the masculine element. It is the Trumpian element to go like, "Yo, Russia, you're a big boy. We're a bigger boy. Can we just like be chill or whatever?" That's a very masculine element. It's a very feminine element of I guess like foreign policy to go, Russia's scary. We should nuke them before they harm us. Like it's very feminine to do that. Like that's the get. Women have taken over. Women are in charge. That's it.
Yeah, the GDP of motherfucking Russia is $2.24 trillion. Right.
That's actually not that many. That's not that many dollars.
Yeah, the entire GDP of Russia, right? You know what I mean? And like the GDP, like we spend more money on healthcare than they do than they have in their entire GDP.
We are actually a matriarchy, and it's
we are technically retarded.
No, we are technically a matriarchy, and it is showing, and all matriarchies collapse. The minute that we gave women the right to vote, we became a matriarchy. The very minute we gave women the right to vote, we became a matriarchy.
How about this? Like, listen, we spend $1.3 trillion on defense, right? And Russia's entire GDP is $2.3 trillion. We literally spend more than half of their fucking GDP on just our military. And they're a major, like, danger to us.
And unfortunately, Russia's economy is actually kind of been bolstered by the Ukrainian war. And so Russia's interest is to have a perpetual war in Ukraine because it's bolstering their GDP.
Yo, our states spend more money every year than
No.
Russia's entire GDP.
Listen to what I just said, Pnoid. I'm telling you right now. The incentive structure is for Russia to have a perpetual war with Ukraine because it is bolstering their GDP. It's not for the health of their citizens, but it is theoretically for the health of their economy. They want to keep it going.
I mean, but they're killing a lot of their citizens in doing so.
Yeah, but it's not like the Russians have ever really cared about their citizens dying, right?
I mean, as you know, I mean, as we don't, you know, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, kind of where we're at.
Well,
it's fucked, dog. It is fucked.
It's 6 a.m. Pnoid.